Hey, it's been a minute. OG Fortnite Season 4 is releasing in just under a few weeks, and with some super cryptic teasers for the media on Twitter and the remixed Visitor Carbide skin arriving in the next season, people are starting to speculate that there might actually be a story for this game mode, and that could be a great move by Epic, because clearly the nostalgia alone isn't convincing too many people to play. It all started a few days ago when Epic put a TV inside of Fortnite OG that players realized was actually making a beeping noise that translated to a message in Morse code. Courtesy of F and Assist and Top 5 Gaming on Twitter, we now know that this message is decoded to be "It is happening again." It seems like just as it was in the original Season 4, the Visitor has taken control of the TVs again, but this time to tell us a different message. But how would he know that this has happened before? My running theory at the moment, which you guys gave insane support to on Twitter, so thanks so much for that, genuinely it's incredible, is that the Nothing's method of torturing the Seven, or at least the Visitor, is by showing him all the mistakes he's made in the past, starting with the rocket launch. Now, assuming the leaks of OG continuing on through the later chapters is true, this would mean that the Seven would have to watch the Visitor open up the rift that allowed the cube to come through. They'd have to also watch their plan in the end cause the Nothing to be inevitable. They'd see Foundation summon the Spire, which drew in Raz, who got the attention of the aliens. And of course they'd see Scientists finally freeing the 0 point, which ultimately made it super vulnerable and allowed for the Chrome to blow up the whole island. So yeah, it's a bit of a rough highlight reel to watch back. A really important thing and a really interesting thing to note here as well is that in every single instance the Seven are trying to do a good thing, yet they actually allow the Nothing to win. That's the main reason why this whole torture method theory really makes a lot of sense to me. And if you're struggling to sort of understand how that would work, just think of that one scene from Interstellar, assuming you've watched Interstellar, it came out like 10 years ago, where Cooper watches himself ignore his daughter who is trying to tell him not to leave her. As this random guy in the comments said, no matter how hard you try, you can't change the past, but you can change the future. Damn bro, that's deep. And if you feel like leaving a deep comment of your own, while you're down there, hit the subscribe button if you're enjoying the video so far. But yeah, anyways, back on topic, I thought this Interstellar example was actually a really good way to show how this Visitor thing could work. It's a really messed up kind of psychological like torture concept, but given the fact that the spirit portal now plays sounds of a girl screaming and being restrained, this new story doesn't seem to have much of a problem with taking itself quite seriously, and I'm really happy about that. So let's say the theory's right. The Nothing is torturing the Seven by showing them their past mistakes. He's making the Visitor watch an alternate version of himself, who's the Visitor Carbide skin, open the rift that he created years ago and let the cube onto the island again. But what if I told you this isn't even going to be the hardest event to watch back, nor will it be the most interesting by far? It's actually going to be the end of Chapter 1, and it's for a whole range of different reasons. See, beyond this event leading to the infamous black hole, the visuals being beautiful, the music being so good that it secured itself a spot in the top 100 game OSTs of all time and my playlist, if we forget all of that, what was actually going on here? What were the Seven doing in Chapter 1's finale event? And what sacrifices did they need to make leading up to this? Because the backstory is actually really interesting, and it'll be a rough one for the Visitor to watch back for sure. See, the Paradigm had literally just been freed from a prison 1 season ago. She then agreed to help the Imagined Order defeat the Devourer, but it also meant she ended up unconscious on the moon. The Origin had also only just joined them, the sisters weren't really a fan of him, and the Scientist had to trap himself in the loop in order to make sure he wouldn't die whilst carrying out the plan. That's not to mention that because Paradigm was gone, the Seven had to have someone fill in for her. It was just chaotic, and we don't know who exactly this replacement was, but we know for sure there was one because there were still 7 rockets and the Scientist still referred to them as the Seven, so you gotta think that they're just doing whatever they can. They're working with anyone, including the former Cube King, the Daughters of Geno, and a random who they need because Paradigm is gone. The end was not only a very scrappy plan, but it's something they need to put together last minute, otherwise it could have been the end of reality. They put the lives of the island and others above their own sanity and their grudges. And to do all that just for the plan to fail? Man, that's rough. So it's actually some pretty deep stuff for Fortnite. Going back to that guy's YouTube comment, Cooper from Interstellar might not have been able to change the past, but it appears that the Visitor might actually have a chance at doing this. A second teaser from Fortnite themselves on Twitter shows this same hacked TV from the Morse code with the tagline of "Anyone got eyes on Tilted?" Now look, this could just be a reference to the fact that in Chapter 1, everybody thought the media was going to hit their favorite POI ever. Or it could be more. If the actual course of events do change, that could be really interesting for OG. Not only would it bump up the player base a little bit, but what would it mean for the map? I mean, if Tilted gets hit, what other effects will that have on the future? And this might seem like a really small thing, but the whole idea of like the butterfly effect, which was actually referenced a lot in Chapter 1 and also Season OG, suggests that one little change could completely flip the future on its head. As Sloan told Jones, everything he does will ripple forward to this very moment. Now, I actually saw a post on Twitter the other day from my mate Rifty, who's also the CEO of the studio that I work for. We've got a new event coming soon, look out for that one. But he was saying something like, imagine every event that we get to re-experience in the OG mode isn't actually the same, but it's revamped to instead affect a different POI. And honestly, I'd love that, because that'd actually make the rewatches really fun and unpredictable, and it'd bring back the excitement. It's not just, watching it back for nostalgia. And let me know what you think in the comments on this whole idea of OG being an alternated past rather than just a replay of the original. I've got to say, it's really good to be back making videos. I've got 2 more coming soon that will be kind of connected to this one in a way. And thanks for watching. I'll see you all again soon, and I'll make sure it's sooner than 3 months. I promise.